already know just where I be, dog. I ain't being cocky, but Philly what I'm reppin'. Watch me check it like it's hockey. I ain't tryna get it twisted. If you get it, then you got me. If you with it, cool. If not, I'll treat you like a Tamagotchi. I'ma let you down point. Yeah, I never disappoint.
What's going on, guys? JHoyt back with you today. Welcome back to some NHL 19. We have our first game of the Hockey Ultimate Team season. We have our first game. I'm super excited. This is my actual first game. You know, I did all the settings and stuff beforehand. So that's all I really did before this game, other than obviously open the packs that we did in the last episode. Now, I was going to talk about my first thoughts about the game, first impressions, stuff I like, stuff I don't like. However, that's going to be the next NHL video. We're going to play with my brother on some EASHL, and we're going to talk about, you know, our first impressions of the game and kind of get down to all that nitty-gritty stuff. Because as I was about to, actually I was preparing to record this video, I was going to give my first thoughts, my impressions, all that good stuff. And one of the biggest trades in the NHL just happened literally like 10 minutes ago. And that is that the Ottawa Senators traded their captain, Erik Karlsson. Yeah, you heard me right. Ottawa traded their captain, Erik Karlsson. Now, before we get into the trade, let's make this guy rage quit real quick. We get 2 quick goals, make him rage quit. However, let's get into it. Like I said, guys, Ottawa ended up making a massive trade with the San Jose Sharks. Trading away to San Jose would be defenseman Erik Karlsson and forward prospect Francois Perron. And, you know, usually Ottawa does this, you know, when they trade away, you know, a bigger guy, they always trade away some, like, little, like, nobody in the trade for whatever reason. So, I don't know why they did this. So, Ottawa sends Erik Karlsson and Francois Perron to San Jose in exchange for, get ready for this. This is going to be a long list. Plus, it's going to be on your screen so you can follow along. For Chris Tierney, Dylan DeMello, Rudolph Balcers, forward Josh Norris, a 2019 second-round draft pick. Apparently, they have 2, so it's the higher of the 2 that San Jose own. A 2020 first-round draft pick conditional, and a 2021 second-round draft pick conditional. So now those conditions on those 2 picks are, should the Sharks sign Karlsson to a contract extension, Ottawa would receive San Jose's second-round selection in 2021, which would upgrade to a first-round selection if San Jose reaches the Stanley Cup Final in 2019. And also note, this pick is not lottery protected. So it could be the #1 overall pick, and Ottawa would still get it no matter what. Also, the second part of this includes if Erik Karlsson is on an Eastern Conference roster or a reserve list during the 2018-2019 season, the Senators will also receive an additional first-round draft pick from the Sharks no later than 2022. So I know that was a lot, right? The initial trade and the conditions will be on your screen. There'll also be links, not links, but they'll you know, they'll be down there somewhere. You can always check them out. But let's just go through this trade. Now, Ottawa has already kind of started this rebuild. When they traded away Kyle Turris, they got Matt Duchene, which was supposed to, you know, just help their team and build their team. But instead, they got rid of him. Then they got rid of Derek Brassard. Then they got rid of Mike Hoffman. And now they're left with a team that looks terrible. If, you know, it just looks awful. Yes, they still have some good players on their team. They still have, you know, some quality talent. And they have a lot of young talent. However, this trade was awful. At least for Ottawa's point of view, this was an absolute ripoff. This was like the biggest and most secure bank in America getting robbed. That's how bad this trade is. So let's go through the trade. So let's start with Ottawa's side, what they sent to San Jose. So they traded Erik Karlsson, who everybody knows is a 2-time Norris Trophy winner. He is arguably the best defenseman in the league. And he is a franchise player. Franchise. Which means he's most likely the best player on the team. Which, in this case, he could have been argued as the best player on the team. Definitely top 2. So they traded away a franchise defenseman and Francois Perron, who is a forward prospect that they got a couple years ago and has been in the farm system ever since. Hasn't really done a thing. So you have a franchise defenseman and a prospect going to San Jose in exchange for Chris Tierney, who's like a third liner at best, center slash winger that hasn't really done much of anything. I believe he's rather young. I think like 23, 24 years old, somewhere around that age. Dylan DeMello, he is a defenseman, basically a third liner. Nothing really notable about him. I mean, he's decent at best. I mean, definitely not worth the caliber that Ottawa's thought they got in this. Then they have Rudolph Balcers, who is another young player, a prospect of San Jose's that has a lot of potential. He looked really good during the what was it, the World Cup or something like whatever they just did, the Olympics or something. He looked really good while playing for Latvia, and he looked to be pretty promising. And also the right stuff forward Josh Norris, who I believe I saw was the 17th or 19th overall pick from 2017, I believe. So apparently he is another up and coming prospect that seems to be pretty decent. Also, you have some draft picks in the deal. A 2019 second-round draft pick, the higher of the two that San Jose own. Obviously, you won't know that until the draft comes up. And then they have a 2020 first-round draft pick that's conditional, and a 2021 second-round draft pick that's conditional. Like I said, with that deal, the two conditions on them are should the Sharks re-sign Karlsson to a contract extension, Ottawa would receive San Jose's second-round selection in 2021, which would upgrade to a first-round selection that's not lottery protected if San Jose reaches the Stanley Cup final in 2019. Also on this one, if Karlsson is on an Eastern Conference roster reserve list during the 2018-2019 season, the Senators would also receive an additional first-round pick from the Sharks no later than 2022. So this trade, let's just say Ottawa got absolutely ripped off, right? The trade with even Mike Hoffman, they got absolutely ripped off. So I don't know what they're doing. I get it if they're trying to get younger and get their prospects to the NHL and stuff like that. But this is bad. Like, this screams to your team and to your fan base that we'll trade literally anybody for anyone. Like, I tweeted out after this trade went out, I said, I tagged Ottawa in it. I was like, what, is Mark Stone next for a sandwich with a drink with free refills? Like, they didn't get anything in this trade. Like, literally nothing. I mean, the best parts of this trade are, I guess, the draft picks and the two prospects. Because that third-line centerman and the third-line defenseman aren't going to change your team that much. Like, the production's not going to be there. Balcers and Norris, I guess Norris isn't signed, so I guess it's just the rights to him. And then the picks could be anything, down the road. We'll have to find, a few years before that even happens. Overall, this was a absolutely awful trade. But, hey, you don't want to take my word for it. Let's go in the minds of Ottawa Senators fans, or used to be Ottawa Senators fans. So, I have up on my screen right now, well, at least on my screen, not on the video, but I have opened my tweet deck, which is like a Twitter, thing, and I'm reading the Senators tweet, and it has comments on it. If you guys use Twitter, you'll know what I'm talking about. Everyone can comment on it, like it, retweet it, all that good fun stuff. I just want to kind of go through some of these comments from the Ottawa Senators fan base, or used to be fans. So the first one that came out like right after the announcement was put out there, and I should also preface this by saying they sent out like this this article about a whole bunch of stuff. I'll link that down in the description below if I remember. But they said how they were going to rebuild and, become better and, all that good fun stuff. And let's just read the comments, because this is where I was absolutely laughing hysterically while I was trying to get ready for this video. First guy says, I'm not going to read their names because, you know, I don't know if they really want to be known, but first person said, and they quoted, most important trade in rebuild, end quote, by destroying their entire fan base. Absolutely great. The second person responded to that first guy and said, there isn't one person in the world that cheers for the Senators. And then a lot of people were liking and retweeting that one. And then the next guy said, well, not anymore. So absolutely hilarious. There was a bunch of GIFs or GIFs, whatever you want to pronounce it as. I say GIF. But if you guys remember Conor McGregor saying, who the fuck is that guy, during an interview when some guy spoke up. They have a lot of those GIFs in this one. And, you know, just absolutely hilarious, if you know, in my opinion. And then the next one says, honestly, how do you write that without spitting coffee on your keyboard? These aren't assets. They're spare parts that Wilson used to hold Dorian over a barrel again. You've traded away 2 captains in a row for nothing. And I completely agree. He's talking about Jason Spezza in the first one, and, you know, obviously Karlsson in the second one. And I guess even Alfredson? No, or he's signed, never mind. But then there's a lot of people that are tweeting, you know, Melnyk out with the hashtag of that. And absolutely hilarious. Then there was a, not trying to get political, but it's kind of funny in this case, with Donald Trump's, you know, signature, like him at a podium saying, this has to be the worst trade deal in the history of trade deals, maybe ever, which I absolutely agree with. This is awful. I mean, are you going to trade Sidney Crosby for, you know, a couple of AHL guys? No. So why would you do the same thing to Erik Karlsson? It just doesn't make sense. Then another person said, which was also kind of true, imagine trading your franchise player to tank when you don't even have your first-round draft pick. Completely agree. Another person said, most important trade to rebuild by trading the best player in franchise history for peanuts. Truly amazing. Hashtag Melnyk out. Gotta love it. The next person said, this is farce, most embarrassing franchise in all of sports. Kind of agree with that one. You know, it started off with pretty much every trade that Dorian's been a part of has been an absolute ripoff. Then someone else said, don't know how you'll be able to show your face with tagging Eugene Melnyk, and then said Melnyk out. And then this next one, it was the first one I actually saw, and said, wouldn't the most important trade in a rebuild meaning get good pieces back? Also, very true. And then someone was also saying something about their attendance, how it was bad last year. Imagine not having someone to watch this year. Again, completely agree. I mean, this trade just doesn't make sense. Then someone also tweeted out, you know, responding to this with a 6-pack of Gatorade bottles in like in a cup holder type thing that you usually see on the bench during you know, intermissions and stuff while they fill up the water bottles. Because apparently Ottawa got 6 assets in this, and you know, none of them were really better than a bottle of water. So these were absolutely hilarious. I mean, there's 700 comments on this already, and it's been out for about 20 minutes now. So you could only imagine how the Ottawa Senators fan base is feeling. But dang, I mean, if I was going to trade Erik Karlsson, which I never would, unless, like, literally it was either trade him or he wouldn't play for me, like, I would be getting tons of first-round draft picks back, tons of prospects, you know, some NHL players, maybe someone a little bit decent that could play in the NHL this year, and just a lot more. I mean, they traded away, you know, Hoffman for a couple of bad picks and then an aging player that sucks. So, I mean, the next trade's probably going to be Mark Stone or Bobby Ryan or, you know, Matt Duchene or any of those guys getting traded for probably like the AHL video coach or something from the team. So, I don't know. This was absolutely hilarious. I mean, this trade was horrible. I mean, I don't understand how Ottawa goes through their trade lists and is like, okay, we're going to trade Erik Karlsson. What do we want back for Erik Karlsson? And they put together the list of players that they got. I'll flash it on screen one more time here. Chris Tierney, a third line center winger, you know, depending on the lineup, obviously, but a third liner at best, a third line defenseman at best. You know, a couple of prospects that have bright futures, hopefully, you know, and 3 other picks. So, I don't understand how this trade made sense for Ottawa. I mean, personally, if I was an Ottawa fan, I would definitely abandon them. I mean, this definitely shows that they don't know how to trade players. They don't know how to treat their franchise players, and they obviously don't know how to treat fans if they're getting rid of star players and, you know, if they're lacking attendance. Then I wonder why, because they don't give them a reason to be there. But, I mean, I've read some comments which were absolutely hilarious. I mean, you know, I gave my thoughts. Absolutely awful trade. I mean, that's all you really have to say about it. But if you guys did enjoy my first NHL 19 video, please hit that like button down below. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button. And as always, guys, we'll see you next time.
Solid win at center ice. Now what? Makes that play deep. Smart recovery by Robitaille. Now it's directed to Barzal. Snapping a pass to Barzal. And they've got it again. Looking to Brown. Very important steal for him.
Brown shaking his head after making that pass. He knows better than that. That puck cannot go into that section of the ice.
Side to side they go, trying to generate something. Moving it to Carrier. Thornton's tripped up. That's
I want you forever, ain't nowhere when I